Well, hello everyone. This is Robin Carter with Robin's Creations. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator out of Flower Mound, Texas. And today, which is October 22nd, 2024, I'm going to be sharing my first set of alternatives I have made with the October 2024 paper pumpkin kit named Nests of Christmas. So before we begin, let me thank each and every one of you who are subscribed to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much. We did reach 3,800 with your support for each and every one of you. So thank you so much for helping me reach that goal. And if you're new to my channel, we can set a new goal to 3,900. So if you have yet to subscribe to my YouTube channel, I hope you will find watching this video that you would like to do so. Also, I want to share some Stampin' Up! Specials going on this month through the end of October 2024. The kits on the online store are discounted, some of them up to 30%. So if you love doing kits, this month would be a great time to grab up some of those so that you can get those while they are discounted. Also, they did add some close to my heart products that are 30% off while supplies last. So you can find those on the online store. And one last thing is they have a starter kit special. So if you have ever thought about being a demonstrator, this month would be a great month to join. You don't even have to do this as a business. You could be what we call a hobby demonstrator. And that just means you're going to use the discounts for yourself. So that kit is $99 and usually you get $125 worth of product for $99, but this month they've added the special. You get $155 worth of product. So like I said, this month would be a great month to join, and I'd love to have you on my team. If you have any questions about that, you can leave me a comment below, and there are links in the video description box of this YouTube channel of how you can do so. All right, let me switch to hands down so I can share the next paper pumpkin kits. Okay, I always like to make sure my mic's going as well. So this month, as those of you that subscribe, this came out. Now I haven't seen any refills. I forgot to look today to see if they were out. But right now going on is the subscription period for the November paper pumpkin kit. It's going to be a project of 8 stockings with 8 gift tags. I have some ideas of what I'm going to do with this, so be sure and subscribe to my YouTube channel, especially as we get going with this month. And then December says Notes from the Heart. It is going to be a card kit, and you can see here it's going to have some vellum pieces and some sparkle gems. And then last but not least, each quarter of this year, Stampin' Up! Has had a set of add-on dies that will work with that quarter's paper pumpkins. If you've followed my channel, you know I've used all the way up to the first quarter here and there. So they are good add-ons for just about any project you want to do. If you have missed those, the item number is 165639. And they are while supplies last, so be sure and keep that in mind. By the way, if you don't know anything about Paper Pumpkin, it is a monthly subscription that you get right to your mailbox. It's like Christmas. Every month you get a little present, and those kits come to you with everything you need to complete the project as shown. So those of you that follow me, you know I take the kits, this is as shown for this month, and I cut up the different materials to make alternative cards to expand the kit to many more cards than designed here. I do that by adding my own white thick card bases and some additional supplies as well. So also, if you are a Paper Pumpkin subscriber of mine, you will get this little sleeve to store your stamps in so you can use them over and over, as well as a 1-inch piece of coordinating cardstock that I write the name of it on there, so you can store your ink spots upside down and know what color that is. That way the ink is always on top of your pad. So if you would like to join the Paper Pumpkin fun, there is a link in the video description of this video, or you can always leave me a comment with any questions you have. So let me get started. for this video, I'm hoping I can get it all in one video. It may have to be a part 1 of 2, but we will see. I'm going to use this card base, and I'm going to make 8, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to make 8 cards using this card base. So I'm going to put this one up because I already have some pieces pre-cut that I've been working on, and this is what I store all my goodies in so I don't lose them. It's part of what I call my favorite things. So I will explain that as we get started. So the first card I want to start with uses that front piece. I guess I should have left it off so I can explain. All right, so it uses, let me get it back out again, this piece right here, and it's already pre-cut by Stampin' Up, so you'll just put that piece and keep it because we're going to use it to make some cards. And then I've cut this off, okay, right at the score line, or a little off, and then I've trimmed it down to 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. Now when I tore off mine, it had some little nibs, and I still see some. And I did my best to go in and trim those off just so they wouldn't show. Okay, so just take some fine tip scissors and you can trim those little pieces that stick out off. You could also use a little sanding block if you have one of those. So now that I've shown you what I've used, let's put that away so I don't lose that for my next set of cards. All right, so I have a hard time working with this. I usually work with my glass mat, which is a great add-on to your craft desk, but I'm going to work with this, and I'm going to get a piece of scrap paper. I have all kinds of, when I print something and it's trash, I generally then save it to use as scrap paper for my stamping here. So I'm going to begin by adding a leaf stamp, and this was also designed with the cards as is to do some stamping on here. So I'm going to use my large shaded spruce pad just for ease of stamping, and I've got a little something on there. I'll just try not to stamp there. So I'm also going to bring in my deluxe foam mat under here just so I get a good impression with my photopolymer stamps. It's good to have a little cushion with those. All right, and I'm just going to start stamping some leaves in this corner. You can go in different directions, however you want to do that. Okay, now you could do the whole ring if you wanted to. That's all I'm going to do. On my other one, I think I did 3 corners. So I do have my chamois wet, and this is what I do. You can see this inked up piece of damp paper towel. So I'm first going to go with it, and then I'm going to go on my chamois. And all this helps is me to not get my chamois all inked up, and I don't have to rinse them off as fast if I use this paper towel first. Okay, so that's all our stamping on that. And then I did purchase, I think I told everyone when I did my unboxing, the coordinating bundle for this is called the Wintry Treetops. This is the stamp set, and this is the set of dies. Let me close this up so I don't set anything in it. Okay, so I decided I really wanted to use this big die right here to go inside that, so it had some greenery. So let me get out my goodies for that. So you can see I went ahead and did that ahead of time so we could hopefully get more cards done today. So this is cut 3.5 by 5 1/4. Okay, because the die does not cut the outside, it just cuts these inside pieces. So you may want to trim your cardstock down to that at first, maybe even a little over 3.5, but 5 1/4 should be fine. Okay, and then I'm going to adhere that to the back of this piece of the frame. So you just kind of want to get it centered. Now I'm going to take some liquid glue so I have some wiggle room, and I'm going to put it on the back of this frame right around as close, and it's hard to see with the white on white, as close to the inside of the frame as I can. Hopefully that will grab it. I may have to go in closer. And then I'm going to attach this. Whoops, I can already tell I need to come way up. Let me wipe that glue off right there. It's best to set it down. And a frame is hard to work with, so just be patient, go slow, and then hopefully you'll get it set. So let me see if I can push this a little more this way. I'm making a mess of this, aren't I? Okay, there we go. And if you have some glue, you can do your best to wipe it up. This is sticky glue, so it will dry sticky, but that's pretty good. All right, so that looks like plenty. So now I'm going to take the backings off. I sometimes do this ahead of time, but I wanted to show you putting on that frame, even though it did not go as smooth as it did with me the first time I did it. That's another thing about the multi-purpose liquid glue, is you can peel it back up pretty quick and then redo it versus tear and tape or something. It's much more forgiving. All right, so now I'm going to try not to get my head in the center, and I'm going to put this, try to get it in the center of my card base, and trimming it to 4 1/8 by 5 3/8 helps you not have to get it perfectly square, because some of your card base is going to show, which I like that look. It shows like more layers. Okay, now for the fun part. So as you guys know, we got this beautiful cardinal stamp, which I was really excited about in the unboxing. And so I was going to color one of those for you. I have in one of my little 3x5 envelopes some pre-stamped in Memento Black, some birds. And actually his eye doesn't show as well, so I must have got happy with the Memento ink. And then I have a vine that I've stamped. Now this, I guess it's a garland type of leaf. So it comes from the Wintry Treetops right here. Now if you don't have that and you really just wanted to use only your paper pumpkin stamps, you could just stamp several of the leaves like we did here, okay, on a background or something, but I'm going to use the add-on dies that they provided. So I have one of these pre-colored to help save on time. So right here. Now the best way to color that, since there's not a shaded spruce blend or watercolor pencil, would be to take ink to a blender pen. Now I happen to have a blender pen, not a blender, a blend pen from, let me see, make sure I say the right name. I think it was Call Me Clover, which is a long retired card color, but the dark looked much like shaded spruce. So that's what I used on here. But like I said, the best way would probably be to take a blender pen with the shaded spruce ink if you don't have that one. All right, but I want to show you how I colored my cardinal. You can see already I have some done. So I tried some different blends, and actually the cherry cobbler works best if you have blender pens and want to do that. But a more economical version is the watercolor pencils. And this set right here, which is the assortment number 2, item number 149014. Okay, it has cherry cobbler in it. Now I wanted to use red, of course, because that said a coordinating color. But my red watercolor pencil, I even have 2 packs, and both of them have like an orangey tint to it. So I'm going to use this cherry cobbler, and you want to apply it quite heavily. Okay, and you don't have to be exactly precise because we're going to take a blender pen in, and I apologize if this shakes my camera, which is attached to my desk. So like I said, just go in quite heavily so he's nice and dark. And you know what, if you don't even have the blender pen, you can just keep coloring with this. But the blender pen, I love how it reacts with this. So I kind of designated green, red, basic colors to a tip so that I don't have to wipe it off over and over. So you can see this just kind of smooths out your markings. All right, let me go in with the tail here. And you want to work quickly. If you keep going over and over it too much, your paper could start to peel. Now I do recommend if you use the thick white for when you're going to use the blender pen, it does give you a little more opportunity before it starts to peel. All right, so that was that was cherry cobbler. And then I took the orange, the pumpkin pie one, for his beak. Okay, and I'm not going to worry about blending that. So that is the best way I found to color the cardinal, and it's fairly economical as well. So a win, a win all the way around. So I'm going to stick him, but first I want to put him on this branch. Now, since I'm covering his feet, I'm not going to worry about coloring his feet, and I'm just going to stick him in like that. Let me check my finished card, make sure I'm not forgetting anything. All right, so the best way I know to do this is you can use glue dots you may have around from past paper pumpkins. Liquid glue would work as well, but since I have tons of these, I thought I would go in and use this. Now, I just happened to grab this. I do love the take your pick tool. This one you can stab yourself with because it's very pointy, but it's the first thing I saw in my jar, so that's what I went for. All right, so I took off that backing, and then this backing is on the cardinal. All right, and I'm just going to stick him somewhere where he's kind of behind the bush. So like that. And then I'm going to put him on this background with dimensionals, but first I want to do a sentiment. Now, obviously you could do a Merry Christmas sentiment. I chose to make these like winter greeting cards because I already have Christmas kits that I'm behind on that I need to send out. So I can only send those out once a year, whereas these I could send out all winter long. So I took this Thinking of You Always, and that is from, I believe, the Wintry Treetops. Yes, Thinking of You Always. Now, in my Etsy shop, I do have a cut file, how you can get sentiments or cutouts that go just like this. I have the SVG file and the SVG file is for the Cricut, and then I have the FCN file also in there for like a scan and cut. Okay, so I lay it out like I like it, and then I'm going to put some dimensionals on the back. And a link to my Etsy shop is in the video description of this as well. And I also put out yesterday the one for the sentiments of this paper pumpkin. So that's new. I forgot I did that. I try to get all my cut files done and then start working just while my brain thinks while I make those of what I want to do as an alternative. So I'm going to watch the time. If it starts going too long, I'm probably going to have to make this a part 1 of 2. But I like to share the basics of like how I colored the bird and so forth. All right. And then for the Thinking of You, you're going to want to be careful if you're sticking them in the between the branches of where you put your dimensional. I'm going to put one here on the end, and this is where the halves really come in helpful. And I'm just going to stick it there so I know that there's an empty spot. And add the thinking of you always. I got that branch, which I really didn't want to do, but it works. All right, so there is my first alternative card. And here is one I made ahead of time. I did a little more stamping of the leaves around the corner. And this one I just did in 2 corners. So what do you think about that alternative? I thought that was pretty good use of that card base. And I had one in here colored in case I messed up. Now, I did forget one thing. If you want to add more greenery like I did here, you could do that. This one I'm going to leave off, and you can tell me which one do you like. Do you like adding more greenery behind him, or do you like it more open? I do love to read comments, so if you can let me know on that, I'd greatly appreciate it. I'm going to put this one, I don't have an empty one. I'll just try to remember if I need a cardinal, I have one in there. Okay, so let's use the other piece, the inside piece that we set aside from that base. So let me dig out that card here on my side. All right, again, you're going to need, clear off my space. You're going to need another 4 1/8 by 5 3/8 embossed. Now I did use the Birch 3D embossing folder. I don't think I mentioned that in my previous card. And then you're going to need a deckled piece of white cardstock. And the deckled dies I find quite helpful, especially since we don't have the stitched rectangles anymore. And I used this size. So it's the 1, 2, 3. It's the 4th largest one, and that's just cut in white. Whoops. We're going to need, obviously, another thick white card base. And let's get my bone folder and score that flat. That helps your cardstock to lay down flat. And I have sticky fingers, so I'm doing my best not to pull everything up. I want to set that on the right side. And then we're going to need that piece of green. Now I have already cut mine because I've made one ahead of time. So here's the full piece. Okay, so it looks like that. So what I did is I cut it in half. Well, I first cut it to 4 1/8. Okay, so you can see this one is shorter. All right, to 4 1/8, and then I cut this in half. That is about 2 5/8. Okay, and so we're going to use that to layer on that. And I did like the stamping on the leaf. So let's get back out the Stampin' Pierce mat and the piece of scrap paper. And let's randomly stamp some leaves on this to give it a little more character. Again, there's no, stamp it here, there, just kind of randomly. And going in different directions I like to do. That really shows that it's random. And this is stamped in Shaded Spruce, the coordinating color for this. And let's just put the tip right at the top. All right, and get back out my chamois. And obviously let that dry a second. Sometimes I find the paper pumpkin supplies, it keeps the ink a little wet, and you can kind of see if it's kind of glowing. So generally by the time I clean my stamp and then close everything back up, it's pretty good to go. But I'm going to be careful with it. Set it over here. Okay, so we have our thick white card base, and then we have this piece. You know what? I'm going to work on the next piece while that is still going. Now for this, I am going to get out my glass mat because that's how I like to blend ink. So let me set this aside. Let me grab my glass mat. It's right in the floor behind me. All right, and I apologize for the shine. You can see all my lights that I use to try to keep it light. And you can see I already have a puddle of ink over here. So here is my glass mat, and here is a blending brush that I will add shaded spruce on it when I get done. Now this ink is dry, but if you want a tip, you can kind of huff on it. So I'm going to use my breath and bend over and go, all right, and that gets it pretty wet. All right, and if you only have the spot, what I recommend to do that is you would just take your ink. I've got everything in this hand, and then put some ink there. Take your blending brush and rub it around so it's not quite so stark. And I also found you can huff on your blending brush. Now just barely set it down to get started. And I'm going to make put a little color on this stark white background that we're using. And again, I apologize if this shakes my table and moves the camera. So that makes you dizzy. You can close your eyes. I'm just blending some ink on here. And we're going to say that's pretty good. So I'm going to pull some out to the sides where I was holding on. And like that. So each one's going to be different, but it adds a little color behind there. And I think I can get rid of this now. Okay, like I said, I do use that all the time, and it's so handy because I can just, when I decide to do blending, it's right there, and I add the ink and go right ahead and do that. All right, get my pieces back over. This should be nice and dry now. So I'm going to adhere this to the basic beige piece. Now, one thing to be mindful about is when you're embossing, like with the Birch 3D embossing folder, since I knew this was going to be a horizontal card, I embossed it like this versus, I have some extras over here, like this for a vertical card. So does that make sense? You just kind of want to be mindful of the wood grain direction. All right, let's put this on here with my multi-purpose liquid glue. Now, in the online store, next thing I'm going to add is ribbon. So that's what I'm telling you about that. There is some cherry cobbler that would work. I happen to have a whole bunch of red, and I like to get my T ruler when I do this and kind of make sure my piece is square. Okay. So this is on my favorite things list, and it comes in quite handy when you're getting things square. But like I said, I have a ton of red ribbon, and so I decided to use this real red. If you don't have any real red ribbon, that cherry cobbler would work as well. So here's how I do to save ribbon. I don't wrap it around the whole thing. I just get a piece that's big enough to wrap around the back. All right, and then I'm going to use my tear and tape. There happened to be, this is not the one that came in the kit, but we did get some tear and tape in the kit. And I can see I got to trim mine. It's hanging off just a hair. Okay, so I'm going to just take my scissors and square that up. A little more. There we go. And I gotta watch my fingers. I'm getting green everywhere. So let's take off the backing. And let's put this around the back. Okay, so there's that. And now we can add it to our Cardbase. I like to look at my one done to make sure I don't mess anything up. Yes, we can add this now to our Cardbase. Otherwise, I would have got out my silicone mat and set it on it because it has the tear and tape showing out the side. Okay, so there is that. All right, now we're going to work on our scene here. And again, I'm not going to show you, not going to take your time to color the cardinal again. You can refer back to that if you want to see it again. I have several colored in here. Don't they look cute just kind of in this, like a bird full of a little thing full of birds. Okay, I do love this cardinal. Now, by the way, if you missed this kit, you can make this same thing using the bird from the bundle. You would just kind of get some shaded spruce cardstock, basic beige ink, and I was going to show you, I have a whole bunch of those birds. Some of them cut with the dies perfectly with out of the designer series paper. Now this one I colored. I had to come up with the right colors, and I'll share those. Okay, here's one from the kit. You can tell it because it has the pretty designer series paper, and the dies cut these out. Here is one I colored myself, and what this is Coastal Cabana watercolor pencil and the Daffodil Delight, and I think I did use the blends. Yes, I can tell because it bled through. The blends for the berries. I'll show you a couple other ones. Now the robin bird. I've got a bag. This, let's see. This one I did with Lost Lagoon blends. So it's pretty close. Okay, and here's the robin bird cut with the designer series paper. This is the one I had the most trouble coming up with the color. This is what the best one I found. I'm going to try to find another one. This used the red and I believe an orange watercolor pencil. But I thought this one was closest, and you won't believe what color that is. This is the dark Flirty Flamingo blend pen, the alcohol pen. So that's what I found the best that works to color that one. The red doesn't work. Red with a blender pen didn't work. So, you know, just, I thought it was the closest, and it looks realistic. So I'm good with that. But see, you could put that bird here along with what we're going to do, or even these birds would fill it out quite nicely. So just giving some options in case you missed this kit. And you can even get the designer series paper and cut those yourself if you don't have the dies, and you can have a bag full of birds. And I also have some other birds out of the other sheets of designer series paper, so there's quite a selection. I love that paper. All right, went on a side note there in case you missed those. Let me put my supplies back in my little box over here so I can keep working. All right, so I'm going to I use this leaf a lot. I tried to use the supplies in the kit, and we're going to make a background of leaves with this. So I'm going to try to go on the outside so it shows in my scrap piece of paper. Don't lose my bird. Outside here. Oh, good thing that landed on the other side, or we would have had to start over. I'll hold it down with my one finger. And just one more for fullness. Now that may look strange, but the bird's going to help fill that in, as well as one of the garland pieces that I'm going to add. Okay, so like I said, I have already pre-colored this garland to help. Okay, and then I have a bird already out. So you can see on this one I did color his feet, but he's going to be hiding again, so it won't matter. So he fits in there pretty well, just like that. So let me close this up so I don't get ink everywhere. How are my fingers doing? Inky as usual. All right, let's get some glue dots. And here's my take your pick tool, which I love. I'm going to put one on the back of his tail area. And then this one I'm going to put on the back of the greenery. And then his tail. Then I can stick him in there however you want him poking out. Kind of like that. I like his tail out and in. It gives it a more of a realistic look. And let's put him down there. All right, get my Tombow multi-purpose liquid glue. And how I decide which way to turn him is based on the garland here. I kind of want that to be symmetrical. So I'm going to put him like that. Now, this is where I'm going to put him with dimensionals, but I want to share one more thing. Again, if you wanted just thinking of you, you could put a thinking of you. I was going to use the Christmas stamp in case you wanted to make Christmas cards, but I brought in a new bundle set just because I love the labels. If you like these labels and don't care about the stamp set, you can get those. So this is from, trying to find this set over here. Well, wouldn't you know, I don't have the dies here. They're over by my die cutting machine, I think. Oh, here it is. Peaceful Season. So I loved all the dies for this, and this works great for our Christmas stamp in our kit. So I'm going to get out my Christmas. I have it already on my Stamparatus, you can see, as well as my bird. I have a new system here that I'm trying to, this came in today, and so I was playing with it just before this video. And if it works, if I decide I like it, I will share that with you on my next video. It will be a part of my favorite things that goes in. But I think I shared this already. I ran out of glass mats, not glass mats. I got tired of running out of these. So I found these 3-ring divider pieces that I cut to 7 3/4 by 3/8 by 7 3/8, and they work great to put on top of here to make more, and I can just change those out as I need them. So I think I already have this set up for this label. So I've pre-cut this label. I'm going to put it in here. Now let me give you a tip. If you don't want, you can see mine's already turning pink, but to help it not get so like hot pink, first ink it with Versamark, and you can see I messed up and didn't clean my Mary before I did that. And then I'm going to use Real Red. And sometimes with the Versamark I have to do it twice, and actually I need something under here to help. I have that sticky thing stuck on me. All right, and let's close. Give it a good little press. You can see here's where I did my greenery. It needs one more. Let's hope I get it right back in the same spot. I should move it to over, but I had this one lined up to also the cutout of the words. I think that went right on top. Sorry if my hair got in that. I was trying to make sure it was in the same spot. All right, so there we go. There's a nice little Christmas. And also, if you clean it right away, it helps it not turn hot, hot pink. Again, the staining does not damage your stamps. It shows they are well loved and used. I just don't like mine to get hot, hot pink. So I try to keep them just a faint pink. Okay, so then I'm going to make a little Mary if I don't already have one. Let me see if I have one made. I have a little have all these little envelopes with little goodies in them. You can see here is when I was making the actual words. And by the way, my cut files includes two sizes, one that's close up and one that's not as close. Let me see if these berries add to it. That Mary is one that's not as close, and I'll use it if I can't. Here's one. Find one already done. And I did this one in shaded spruce. So you can see I have the two different sizes there. And my little berries. I don't know that I'm going to use those, but I thought I'd pull them out since I saw them there. Okay, now I'm going to cheat because I want to add ribbon to this, but I'm going to show you a, a chintzy method with your ribbon to help it last longer. So I'm going to put a little adhesive. You can use tear and tape. For speed, I'm going to use my big O 3M tape runner. Okay, and then I'm going to get my real red ribbon back out, and I'm just going to cut little strips. I'm going to cut it at an angle. Let me try to be even here. Let's do about 1 3/4. 1 3/4. And here's what I'm going to do with those. So I'm going to put them like they're coming out of the label here, but we only have so much room, so you'll have to decide how much needs to go inside. I'll trim it later if I need it, but let's just get them going the right direction and in the center of that spot. My little kitty just came in the room, and by the way, today is Coco's birthday. He is going to be, or he is, you're 15 years old now, mister. He's my little crafting buddy up here. He has his own little chair, which is what you see over there. I shared him in one of my videos, but I don't know that he wants to be shared again. All right, so that looks good, just like that. So let's put him up on dimensionals. I did get that in my ink pad, didn't I? He is a Himalayan seal point cat, and he's a pretty good cat. He sleeps with, it's funny, he sleeps on the side of the bed where my husband is not. He sleeps in the center. I sleep a little more still than my husband does, so he gets on my side, or the side that's not in the middle. In the winter, it's quite nice because he's a little heater. In the summer, sometimes it gets a little hot. All right, let's center that there. And let's put the Christmas, we want it, let's put it on dimensionals. When in doubt, add dimensionals. That's my philosophy. Dimensionals always adds a little something extra. Okay, I can already tell, excuse my voice, this is going to be a part 1 of 2. Okay, and then the Mary. Added okay, so I added that with a little bit of Tombow multi-purpose liquid glue, the Mary on there. So that is my second card. Let me find the one I did ahead of time and make sure I did well. So here's the one I did ahead of time. So what do you think about those? So that just uses 1/3 of the card bases from your kit, which we have 5 of. And so this one I just glued down, didn't I? And he's kind of crooked. I'm gonna have to fix him. So I'll add him with dimensionals as well. So what do you think about those? Like I said, I don't want to take too much of your time, so be sure and subscribe to my YouTube channel where I will share the other 6 cards, because I said this is going to make 8. So you can see already. Now I did have to, because that one only makes 1, whatever I did with him. So I had to use another card base, but that's 1, and then from the little piece inside you can make 2, 3. So we've made 3 of the 8, and so like I said, this will be a part 1 of at least 2. So be sure and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Let me switch back to myself. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I hope this inspired you to help stretch your kit and showed you some tips as far as coloring the little cardinal stamp that came in our kit. So the best compliment you can give me is a thumbs up to this video. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel and leave your comments, and I like to try to read all those and get back to you. So thanks for joining me today, everyone. If you have any questions, be sure and leave me those in my comments. And until my next video, I hope you have a great day. All right, bye-bye, everyone. You know what? Hold on. He came back. Do you want to see Coco? Come here, Bubba. He's my little boy. Here he is. Make your debut again. Say happy birthday to Coco. All right, I'll put you down. You're something else. All right, so that's his second debut on my YouTube channel. So again, thanks everyone. Bye-bye.